So we're getting down to the business end now, aren't we? Yeah? We're starting to find out how we make the pictures pretty. What can we do to make people like our report? But also, with a report like this, it's about how can we drive better engagement? What's going to make people be able to click through the report and, most importantly, understand the content and the full report pack without needing a massive manual or, of course, lots and lots of tutorials to take everyone through how to access a report. Alright everybody, welcome along. Weekend work, isn't it? So what I was going to do today is, of course, let's refresh, gone back over everything that's gone on already with this, yeah? So we've looked at week one, haven't we? We've gone through the introductions, understood our journey, the schema, the edge of a Kimball schema. What does it mean to have our facts and our dimensions, and how do those relate to each other? We've built the data flow, we've got our results through, we've built the packages, we've gone through, we've done our modelling, we did the validation last week where we found, right, that Ross had made a little bit of a mistake and an oopsie, okay? So we've done that. So what are we going to do this week, right? This week, we're going to start looking at the visualization layer and that concept of visualization. So let's cut an hour into Power BI Desktop now and have a look at what we've done originally for the data pack, for the source, so actually what's live now. And then we can start to look at how do we shape that, how do we structure that. Because the most important part of this journey and of any report is to make it interactive with your audience. Power BI isn't a static consumption. You don't want it to be like a PowerPoint replacement. If you're thinking, oh, I'm going to put in Power BI because I love PowerPoint and I want to do more PowerPoints, right? If that's the way you're going, you might be wasting your time. The insights, the benefits, the transformative nature of Power BI and of the use of data within your business comes from actually splitting it apart and saying, right, we want you in the data. We want you to be able to look at the data, understand the data, and do it without me having to curate it and say to you, if you turn your attention to slide 7 over there, you will be able to understand exactly how our profits and losses are going. If that's what you want, you know, it's not right. And let me draw your minds back. Yeah, let's go back. Right, the whole thing. So one of the early things that we talked about was the idea that in a traditional reporting model, right, the way things often go, and many businesses are still doing this, right? So, right, month end, we need to get the monthly report pack built, right? So, first of the month, right, I'm going to pull all my data. Pulled all my data, right? Oh, wait, that CSV file's not right. So, right, let me request from IT that CSV file. So I'll get an updated CSV file. So the third of the month now, right? This isn't unrealistic, really. I've now got all my data together. Brilliant. So I'm going to load those into Excel, right? Because I'm going to rename the Excel and copy them to the right and paste them in, right? And then I can refresh the pivot tables that I've got in there, right? And that refreshes the pivot tables, and then some pivot charts that go in there, right? And I'm going to go and copy and paste those into PowerPoints, and then I can send them out so that by the 5th, everyone's got the PowerPoint. 5th of the month, right? Month end was obviously 5 days ago now. Because we're not expecting it till the 5th, and because the 5th could be, you know, a weekend, right? We're going to schedule our board meeting to talk about last month on the 10th, right? To give people a chance in case of the weekend. And of course, senior leaders need a chance to look at the data and go, oh yes, I understand the data. This is important. Right? Senior leaders can be women as well, but I'm not doing impressions of women. That's frowned upon. Okay? Right? So we go through, we do that. Then we get to the point, don't we, where we go, 10th of the month, I'm looking at this report. Ross, I don't understand what you mean by that point. Go and take an AOB item and explain to me why our product X hasn't performed as well. Okay, so roll on another month, right, and I'm looking and saying, right, wait boss, product X wasn't performing particularly well because of blah, 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 right? And obviously phrase it a bit nicer than that, obviously, like blah, blah, blah in the boardroom doesn't tend to go down, does it? You know, they want something a bit more professional sounding. The point being, I'm talking about something now nearly 6 weeks in the past. Right? That's an eternity. Power BI, then in the report pack. First of the month, the pack's built. Done. Okay? Because it's connected to everything. You've spent the time, you've got the effort. No one's pulling CSVs, checking, this doesn't work anymore. It's there. Right? First of the month, the data is there. Literally, we can have a summary sent out with a subscription in Power BI to send it out to people, so I haven't touched out. Ugh. Right, these hands, I wouldn't touch out. Right, I haven't touched it, sends it off to them. Right, by what, 2, 3 in the morning, 4 in the morning? I can't complain, can they? Coming in, 9 AM, first of the month, there's a report on my desk, the summary of what's happened. You could even go as far as saying, right, I want that full report pack built, sent. Off it GANs, right, or a link to it, because we don't want to send stuff out. We want them clicking in, going into it. So suddenly I'm at a point where we can say, first business day of the month, we're going to get together, discuss what's going on in the month. Think, what? Right? Anyone gets a chance to get their ducks in a line with this guy, I tell you, right? Everyone's there. What's happened? What's going on? That wasn't right. That wasn't right. Right, click, click, click. That's what's happening there. Do you have anything to say? Think the data speaks for itself, sir? Move on. Hang on. What am I going to do for the rest of the month? You get the point though. So she would gan on over into Power BI desktop and see how this all starts to play out and how we get the ducks to start to align. Champion. Alright, so thought about Power BI desktop, thought, nah, not doing that, like. Right, so here we are in the report itself. Oh, this is it live. Okay. I thought this was the right place to start because it's important to start to think through what are going to be the elements that we've got, okay? One of the things that I hate in the report, I'll be honest, is the amount of space that I've lost doing this thing here, right? Okay, so we want to reclaim some of that, and we'll do that. The stuff we can do when we come to do the next generation report. So we're going to put in a slicer panel. A slicer what? A slicer panel, right? A little bit, it'll be on the left that like flies out, and you go tick, 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 and click, and it goes whew, away. Okay, but it needs to be nice and simple and like that. You know, said it before, say it again. Something that any idiot can use. Okay, so there's lots of little elements about this report that are just meant to be intuitive. Okay, so at the bottom here, you can see if I hover over here, my icon changes to a little pointy thing, because there's a button, right? And it's a big hidden button over all these that takes me to the participation view, okay? The participants view, giving me a summary of the participants, right? I'm not particularly enamoured by it, I'll be honest, okay? But we're at that point now, aren't we, where there's more people, there's more events have taken place, so we can start to say, right, what are we looking for? What goes well here, okay? And one of the biggest concerns that I had was around, do I really want to show people's names? Okay? And it's a weird one. It's like, I mean, I come from a professional background, so it's like, right, names, nah, not doing it. And then I'm thinking, well, ultimately, public data from the web, using their names that are in the web, published on the web, already. Yeah, it is what it is. I'm kind of... So I'm not sure. We probably will, because we've put them in, but I think it's getting to that idea of saying, well, you know, how well have you done? Because that's what I want. I'd be the same way. Am I good? Am I not so good? Am I doing a good enough running job that everyone's going to be really happy and think, oh, wow, that Ross man, he's amazing, right? All those are things that you worry about, okay? So we've got that. Okay, so we've got the participation view, and you can see I've got a button to link the participation view as well. There. Doesn't need to be there, does it, if we've got the link to it next to it, but spelling it out makes it easier for people, doesn't it? If we hover or we click on an event, you'll see it brings up, you can go and view the event. Right? We could also do that by right clicking on it and it giving me my drill through option to go and drill through to the event details. Right? And that all works with the basic stuff. So I'm kind of saying, right, okay, we're there. And the last thing that I probably need to think through is this bar chart going to keep working for us? Right? What do you mean? What mean you? Right? Given that it takes up space, so we've got a finite amount of space to expand into, and we're up to 40 that I've prepared for. So I'm kind of guesstimating we might be able to get 60 at most in terms of bars before it's going to look a little bit dodge. We might keep an eye on it and just see, and I might not do anything with this, but it's one where, for me as a developer, I'm thinking about. So you're already starting to think, right, what are they looking at? So we've got things here, haven't we, like the average finishes that's there. So we'll start to calculate that. I'm using a figure from a summary that Parkrun provides. It's different to the numbers that are in here that are actually on for an event, because it looks at something else. It looks at the total figures, whereas we've said before, because of the join to people, if that person doesn't have a result, they're stripped out, just gone, right? Which means that my event results will be lower here than they are elsewhere. Not a massive amount, right? But if we take, for example, the latest event here, we've got 108 finishes listed, right? But I know there was 114 because I was there. I saw them. I did the results, right? But so 6 people arrived without a barcode and didn't get a time. Well, 5, and 1 was a jogger who ran through and went, "I'm not doing your event," right? And ran on. You know, champion, mate. Well done. Hope you're happy. But it happens. So it's kind of. So you get to that point. So what's the right number? I personally get the feeling it's kind of mine, this one, because if you look at the way the results are, they kind of, yeah, you're not really in the results because you didn't have a barcode. So it's, they strip the time out and stuff like that. The time's there in the results. It's just, yeah, right. But, so we've got all that stuff. We've got that goodness. So what we need to do now, I think, is just start to think through what pages do we need. So we've got this. Do we need, for example, the latest event? And I have bought it in, I've got it in, but I'm sitting there going, do I need it? I don't know. It's there, and I'll tell you what it's there for. So when you upload results on a Saturday, there's a gap between them appearing in the latest results and them appearing in the historical results table. And it can be a couple of hours, right? So kind of that latest results for people who have to know immediately what's happened. And we can do that and have it on a different schedule, maybe every hour on a Saturday, like people go, oh, right? You know, it works. Things that don't work for me are the big lozenge shapes and things. They're just not working, right? And it's like, we can do better. So I know what's in there. I know what's working. I've got these people here where they're listed out and named, and we've got a summary bit of information about them. So their hair time, their fastest time, their shortest time, their slowest time. Don't say slow. Their least quick time. Okay, we've also got things like their minimum age grade and their maximum age grade. So, you know, age grades are a big thing because you can compare everybody by their age grade, which is why we're comparing finish times by age grade and by age group. There's all these. So we've got routes in there, stuff that's coming out. So it's all available to us. We just need to think through what's the right place for it or the right way to go. The other thing I've added quickly in is we've got the idea now of the volunteer piece. So one of the things I need to do is to dig in and find all the volunteer icons and logos so that we can put them. And I was thinking of putting them around here, like on the left or right of your name. So you'd have your little this person is a volunteer, what? And a runner, what? Because it's, it's important, isn't it? I want to, I'm great, me, like. Too much? Too far? Bit of a cult, isn't it? So we'll go in and we'll do all that. And this is then why it becomes important when you're starting to think through that visualization layer. What is it that we're actually doing? And the report that we've built so far, obviously, is this one. So report 5, week 5. Okay, so it's starting to come together. Okay, it is starting to appear, and the structure is starting to go in. But what I want you to think as you're going is, of course, what am I looking to achieve? So as you see, we can see we've got the little left-hand side there for the slicer panel, or the beginnings of it. Okay, so you click on there, slicer panel appear. Okay, I need to do something about the colours, make them more parkrun colory. Okay, but it's all then starting to be about how do we piece these things in. So the first thing to do, and one of the biggest steps, is to start thinking about having a DAX table, right? And it's something I always do. Okay, so to do that, go and you click enter data, give it a name. I'll call this DAX2 just for the sake, yeah, or DAX demo. Okay, and hit load. Right, and that's going to create a table. Okay, it would be nice if there was a better way of creating a measures table. I'll be honest, it would be nice. There isn't. So we've now got an empty table with a blank column. I'm going to create a new measure in here. I'm just going to call it DAX demo count. Okay, because we'll scrub all this stuff out at the end of the day. Okay, and what this is going to be is count rows. Okay, so count rows of participation, yeah, which is the events. Okay, so how many people effectively have finished an event. And the last step then is to hide that original column, and that changes the icon. I hope you can see. I'll change the icon, so it's something that we can then go, oh right, brilliant, champion, awesome. Okay, and now effectively it's a measures table, isn't it? Because it's going to appear as measures, calculation at the top. It's there. Okay, I'll hide that. We'll not use it. So I'm using the participations, and we're using the average. The other thing I'm using is something in here, which is this dump filters. Right, now it's a useful measure set. You need to have DAX Studio involved for it, and I'll show you how I created it in a second. Okay, what it does is it allows you to present on a table anywhere, and I did see Patrick actually from Guy in a Cube, he did a great video recently where he built this up, and using something similar to that, you can make it appear as a big pop-up on the thing showing this is the filter context that's currently being applied to your page. So for example, if I pick this, it'll say events, event 16. Oh, okay, nice, 24. Okay. If I was to bring people in, when I pick this person, so we've got a name. So we've got a name, we've got a person, haven't we? Now, so if we look there, see, oh, fantastic, right? So all of a sudden, we've got a great way where we can start to present filter contexts for people. So again, if you're not sure what you've picked or what's going on with things, that's the idea, isn't it? You get that little question mark kind of a thing. Like, help me, I don't understand. What's my filter context? And it will show you, here's the filter context. So we'll put a little question mark probably underneath there, or maybe on the top left, depending on how things are going. Where you can then click and it'll show you this is how you filtered the report pack. Up here for thinking, down there for dancing, remember. So we've got these things. Now one of the things I talk about is you've got to make sure that you do your modelling correctly. Okay, so a good data model is key, because that way your DAX is simple. So our participants, for example, right, I've written this a little bit more complicatedly, a little more complex, right, than the other one, because I'm working on something, working on it, right? Got some plans in place. So again, we've got a basic counter of people, okay, against that. That shouldn't be a counter of people, should it? Just count the participants. Counter of participation, right? So we've got the counter of people in, okay? So we're going to count how many people we've got in an event, which is what we want. Okay, if you remember, if we go back to people, one of the things I've done, as I say, in preparation for this, was I've bought the running club in. that they're in. So your running club membership, that not running club, park run membership, park run volunteer membership badges in here. So we've actually got, amazingly, we've got a couple of 500 runners who've been, like, honestly, like royalty, 500 club, right? And we've had one 500 volunteer, double royalty, and it's actually a guy who's got both. Like, oh, probably the only one. I don't know, might not be. Like, the holiest of holies, probably, from a parkrun standpoint. Anyway, so it's starting to take shape. But we need to be saying that, don't we? So we've got this basic one. We know the next page that we're going to need is going to be that drill through page, isn't it, from an event. So how do we go about setting up a drill through? So for simple, we're going to create a new page. Well, I could have done that, lad. Right, I'm going to say drill through. So you can see there's a drill through filter there. So what we're going to do is we're going to say, for here, we want to go with the event and the event number used as a category. Okay. Now, is that going to work? See, that seems to work. Page 2. So we've gone back, we've checked, does it work? Yes, it does. Okay, so page 2. Event details. Okay, and at this point, this is where you start to say, how do we sketch this out? What's it going to look like? So in my mind, right, we can pick, so we can say, right, let's pick the latest event, event 37. Okay, and we could turn around and we could say, right, if we bring in the participation table and we bring in like time, so we've got the times, right, and I was thinking this time's right. I don't think time's right. So the other thing that I've done is I've done a minutes. Okay, so we've got minutes, which we can put in as a chart. Right, and I felt minutes was right, okay, only because it just, I couldn't really come up with a way of doing it that looked nice with charts. So what we can now do is we can say, right, we've got that, let's go with participants. And we get a nice smooth chart. Moving on a bit, and we've started to look at what does it get like when you're starting to add the elements into the page. So we've started to put this in, haven't we? Some more things. I've put some text on. We've put some narrative to go with it. So when we start to look into the data, how does it work? Is it heading the right direction? And this is where we start to piece together what a report is going to look like. And with this, there is no real right and wrong, is kind of the lesson I've learned. I've got books, honestly, down here on my bookshelf, right, full of, oh, do this, oh, do that. Right. What I've learned is it's kind of much more is about how are your customer base or your users going to experience what they access, right? How do you make things more accessible? How can we make it clear that you have to hit that button to go back to your other page? How can you entice them into doing things? Is this too big for that? You know, do we want to do something different? Is there something else we should be doing? Should we be trying that? Should I leave my, oh, I'm concerned about data, right, hat on and say, should I leave me hat on and say something along the lines? Because what I can do, you see, is I could say, wait, we've got that, we've got the finish position, right? How about if we say, let's get rid of everything else. Just have time and finish position. Okay, we'll remove the totals for it as well. So totals, get them off. There shouldn't be any totals there, right? But what we can do with this, right, hang on, that doesn't mean out. Okay, because it's a table, we can switch it into a matrix. We can do all sorts of things like that. But what we can start to do is think, right, how can I reference for a tooltip? So when you hovered over number 6, it would show you the person's name and the time and what clubs they were in. Right? I need to get over myself, probably is more of it. I'm at the point of going like, oh, it doesn't feel right. I don't know what I'm doing. Right? It's not, I don't know what I'm doing. I know exactly what I'm doing. And I come from a background where personal information, PII, doesn't get shown. Okay, but the point is, you go to the website, you know, if we went to Parkrun, went to Jesmond Dean for event 37, there's a list of who's done it. So it's not exactly secure. It's not even at the point of saying, like in the US, hit F12, that's hacking apparently. It's in, you know, you click on the participant and actually it's in the URL what their Parkrun ID is. So it really isn't PII, secretive, anything like that. Signing up to Parkrun, you're kind of agreeing to a lot of that. But old habits die hard, as it were, with this old goat here. So what do you reckon then? Okay. Report design and development is an ongoing cycle. Okay, you can see from this, right? There's a lot I'm changing and building and adapting from what was my first Power BI pass at the Jesmond Dean Parkrun report pack. It's a beautiful view, that, isn't it? I never get tired of looking at that view. Right? Of a first pass at the Jesmond Dean report pack. And I mean, it's Jesmond Dean 2.0 because the first pass I was like, well, I can do this in Excel, you know. And then it was the idea of, well, the security keeps kicking in, I can't store the stuff and all that, you know, and data flows, yeah, data flow. Why would I do something else? So I'm using a data flow for it. I've changed it, we've updated it, we've brought lots more data in. Looking at this area, so there's something I'm not sure is in, so I'll double check and see if that's there or not. If it isn't, I will bring it in as well. Right, and that's the actual number of events that a park runner has done overall. So I'll check that. We go in and we build reports all the time though. Right, and as we build them, we need to be thinking not in terms of, I've done this, job done, I'm out. Right? Once you start to think of it in terms of, what am I going to do tomorrow with it? What am I going to do the week after? What are we going to do next month? You start to realise that Power BI as an environment, as a platform, as an engine, isn't just like static, okay? And we've seen this for decades, right? That's always been the problem with the analytics environment. So, you know, historically with, you know, even with Microsoft's analytics server, SQL Server analysis services, SQL Server, yeah, reporting services. Because they were expensive and cumbersome to update, they became static. And because they became static in terms of, you know, you had to get consultancy in to do it, everything like that, right? People would say, oh, right, I need to change it. I'll do it in Excel, right? And all of a sudden, we've got a business that's spent 100 grand putting in report services, all this whiz-bang stuff, it's great, it does all these reports that you need. Within a month, someone's gone, right, I'll take that into Excel, right, cobbling it together. 2 months, they've left, right, 3 months, someone's coming off, right, follow, right, fast forward 5 years, right, and you've got a whole raft of solutions in a business that are business critical. Not one person knows how they're built and what they do. So, you know, it's worth figuring out that Power BI is good and how we build not just the models but that visualization layer and get people engaged in the visualization layer and make it so that the visuals are as pretty as that view there, isn't it? You know, it's lovely, isn't it? I'm still no good with this. I'd be a terrible weather person, wouldn't I? And the weather today is... So anyway, right, I hope you have a great weekend. If you're near a park run, why don't you go out and do it or go and volunteer? They'd be happy to see you, right? For now though, take care, have a great weekend. Ta-da.